GM.
GM.
It is me as always, Derek, the community steward here at ETHDenver and Sporks, and joined by Jason, the biddle steward. Hi, Jason.
Oh man, hey, hold on, I gotta stop this video.
Oh, hey, hold on. Classic YouTube autoplay.
Yeah, totally. Welcome to what is this, week 4 or is this week 5?
This is week
It's
4.
Week 4. Week 4 of Raise Your Sporks. This is a community of community. We are here to talk about ETHDenver 2023, and we're getting really close, Derek.
Yeah, we are. It is Friday, February 3rd. And for those of you keeping track at home, that means we're getting closer. I don't want to step on your toes. Jason, will you scoot us to the agenda so folks can know what to expect today? And as we do that, I want some GMs from everybody. Hi, Praying Daily. We're teaching young minds every day. Hi, Juan Geraldo. Good to see you again. Hi, Laura. Hi, Zach. It's good to see you, Zach.
Cool. Well, we have a fun-filled day today. We're going to first kind of start talking about the countdown. How many days do we have to go until ETHDenver? When do we actually start getting to biddle? Then we're joined today by the track sponsor for the NFT gaming and metaverse, where we're actually going to talk about what does the space look like today? What are opportunities that you as a biddler have? What are problems that we need to solve so that way Web3 gaming, blockchain gaming becomes the staple for the industry? We're going to also talk a little bit about infrastructure and scalability. The guest that is participating in that, we're moving that to Monday at 8:30 a.m., where we'll actually talk a little bit more about what does infrastructure scalability look like. That's sponsored by Circle. And then we're going to talk about some meetups that we're starting to plan. We're also looking for suggestions of ideas for what you guys want as biddlers. We're going to talk a little bit about Bufficorn Ventures and things that they're working on and what that's going to look like at ETHDenver. And then we're just going to kind of get ready for next week when we're joined by other guests to talk about the next groups of tracks. So pretty fun, pretty exciting. I'm certainly feeling it. Today will be a really fun because as a gamer myself, I'm really excited to kind of see what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, the biddler perspective on gaming. Like, what are we building so that folks can also build their games? But before we get too ahead of ourselves, how much time is there until ETHDenver 2023, Jason? I'm just curious.
Well, I think the question is, what does the audience think? I mean, last week we gave numbers.
Oh, that's right. Let's see it in the chat. You don't get to open up your calendars. Just raw off top of your head. How many days do you think it is until ETHDenver 2023? Okay, Andre thinks it's 21 days. Juan thinks it's 21. Sergio Martella thinks it's 20. We got 23, 67.
Oh man, 1,800
hours.
Whoa, I wish I had 1,800 hours.
Truly, Zach. That's optimistic. All right, let's show him. Yeah, it turns out it's 21 days until February 24th.
Yeah, so that is the 21 days until BidLink can start. So for all of those of you that are here wondering what can I biddle on, we start in 21 days or approximately 504 hours. So really exciting. There's a lot of things coming on. We'll talk about what all some of that stuff looks like at the end of today's closer to the end. But right now, I think we're ready to jump in to talking about the NFT, the metaverse, and gaming. And so
that's right. Can you show this next slide as part of our transition? So totally. In 21 days, not only does the event start, but more importantly, the bidding begins. As a quick reminder, all projects are in one of these 5 tracks. And that first track on the list, NFT, metaverse, and gaming, is what we're going to do a deep dive into right now with our track sponsor, Game 7. Please, everyone, give some GMs. Help me welcome up 2 friends from Game 7, Niraj and Steven. Hello, welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Thank you for being here. GM.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, so today we're gonna kind of, the goal here is to allow Game 7 to kind of bring us up to speed with what does the NFT gaming and metaverse space currently look like, and what are the things that we need to do as bidlers? What do we need to biddle, so that way we can actually be playing more and more games in the Web3 space, maybe earning different rewards, being able to I don't know, have some cool NFT tickets to go to, games and events like Major League Gaming or Call of Duty or any of these things, or even some of the fun things that might not just be in esports, but regular gaming. So with that, like, Steven, like if you could just kind of paint a picture of like, who is Game 7? What is it that you guys are working on? What is it that you guys are excited about?
Yeah,
just kind of go from there.
Yeah. First of all, I hope there's a lot of gamers in the audience. I think there's a really good cross section between bidlers and gamers by nature. But yeah, Game 7 at its core, we're a community of passionate folks who really care about the future of gaming. And our mission essentially is to evolve gaming by bringing in Web3 as a key technology to address the challenges that traditional gaming faces today. Yeah. And to kind of go into do you want me to kind of go into like what we're excited about that's coming in this space?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
like, why are you excited about the space, and like why are you guys really excited about sponsoring ETHDenver's NFT gaming and metaverse track?
Yeah. So to kind of answer the why, I just want to take a step back and really just talk about the industry. And to provide some context, 3.6 billion people around the world play games today. And it's really hard to actually fathom how significant that is. There's already like a massive community in gaming, but there's like a huge design challenge that needs to be addressed. And for some context, when we went out and spoke to a ton of people in the industry, we interviewed for the Game Developer Report over 100 game developers, and it was pretty evident that almost everyone was really unhappy.
Famously a tough industry to work in.
Yes, definitely. It's really difficult to build games. And to provide like a background, the rise of like free to play was like the catalyst for bringing the industry to where it is today, right? And it made gaming really, really accessible. But it also presented a glaring challenge. And the reason for that is because large platforms have created like business models that frustrate both players and developers. On one hand, developers could no longer be creative and build meaningful worlds due to unsustainable business models. And on the other hand, players became super frustrated with like play to win models that are just very extractive by nature. And honestly, we believe what comes next in Web3 will change everything. We're really just living through one of the most significant creative and economic opportunities in the history of gaming. And with the convergence of like blockchain technology and games, what we do has like the potential to impact billions. And at Game 7, like we deeply believe in the power of gaming and online communities to make a super positive impact on people's lives. And our goal is to like evolve the meta and enable economic and creative opportunities for billions who like just play and socialize in digital economies, right? And we're like dedicated to the foundational work that is needed to make this vision a reality. So even if it is considered impossible by many, we're here to work on this. And we think ETHDenver is one of the best places to do it because we can find like-minded builders who have the best interest of the space. We want to attract people who care about the future of gaming. So yeah, that's kind of why we're here.
That's awesome. I love that. I think that's so I like my first game that I mean, my grandpa had like that Atari 2600. It's going back to the Qbert days, to then getting into like Halo 1 in like high school.
Nice.
And then you got like Call of Duty was like kind of high school, early college. And then you get into some of these more quirky, free to play games with Fortnite to everything basically today. So it's fun to kind of see that progression, and then start to really think about what does the future actually look like. But knowing that in order to have all these fun games, we actually first have to build the infrastructure for it. So like for you guys, like what are the things that we as biddlers need to be thinking about, or what are the problems that we need to be solving?
Yeah, for sure. And I think there's like two ends of the spectrum here. We have to think about both gaming and Web3. And I think what's really important is like we have clarity on the past mistakes that this industry has like made. We believe in we should avoid repeating them. Like the next generation of games should be like much more open and collaborative. I think that's like a really important thing because the traditional gaming space is really much built in silos and walled gardens where like just a few platforms basically own and control everything. We want to stop that from happening, and like we believe our approach is like the antidote to the problem like so many game developers and players are facing today. So our motto is like essentially to listen then act. We basically ask questions, and as I explained earlier, we want to define and prioritize findings together, and then launch or fund initiatives based on our learnings from them. And like the developer report that we published is a pretty good example of this process. And like last year, we interviewed over 100 game developers to really get to the root of the problems. And we found that like they were experiencing challenges across all fronts, like smart contract development, wallets and SDKs, marketplaces, economic design, you name it. And from there, like we did a bunch of things to try and address that problem. Firstly, we defined the Game 7 grants program mandates to basically address the gaps we identified in the report. We're creating like an open source library for security practices on Web3 systems controls called W3SC WESC. Um, and then we also incubated Hyperplay, which is a Web3 native game launcher with in-game transactions that basically allow players to take their assets with them from game to game. We also hosted an established gamer forum. It's an in-person event requested by the community that brought like a lot of game developers and designers together in person. That face-to-face has a lot of value. We also developed Web3.Unreal to basically further solve some developer pain points by making it simple to add Web3 features to games built using Unreal Engine. And then we also partnered with Moonstream on an open source NFT inventory system, which is like a smart contract standard for Web3 gamification. And Niraj, you can kind of like go into that in more detail as well.
Before we do, can we pause and appreciate how much stuff you just named? It's been a big year. And I want to give a lot of appreciation to everyone behind the scenes that contributed to doing that, because to remind folks the perspective we're coming from here, we're trying to understand the problems people are already facing as we try to build games that work for users and developers, that are fun to play and not extractive. In other words, real meaningful problems that impact the entire industry. And to make a dent in something that ambitious requires like good strategy. And so I appreciate you starting from the beginning. Let's do a bunch of interviews. Let's synthesize really rich qualitative data to figure out what the actual problems are. So before we go executing on these sick initiatives, they're actually solving the problem. So I just, before we blow past that, wanted to appreciate all the work that's already gone in so far.
Thank you so much. And, for us, we didn't want to make any assumptions, right? And I think one big thing for us was like, we couldn't have done it alone. It was like a community of people. And that's why we could have achieved so much. So that's been super awesome. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty important also to have more people who are capable of making things, of building things in the community. One of the things that we see is that people who come from like the games industry, they sometimes have difficulty understanding like what value decentralization and what value Web3 can actually bring to their players and their games. It's not just about ownership. Actually, it's not, at least it's not about ownership of like NFTs or something like that. It's about giving your players agency, right? If players can have agency over what the behavior of a game is or how the game world operates, if players can actually like sort of put their ideas into the game world without having to go through like a gatekeeper or middleman, the kind of game experiences that you build are like much more engaging, like the players building for each other. And that's why it's very important to start with things like ETHDenver or the community of biddlers, like, in the Ethereum ecosystem, because these are people who actually get it, people who understand decentralization. And like all of us play games, right? All of us understand what we want out of the games that we play. So, we have the power, and it's events like this and things like this, conversations like this that that allow us to turn that us having the power into us actually realizing our power. So
Well said, Niraj. Did you want to go into the open source NFT inventory system? Kind of explain a bit.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. But before we begin,
Yeah.
one question I'm really interested in is, what is your favorite video game?
I'm
Like,
pretty
if you were to pick,
if I were to pick, it would have to be Dota 2 because I used to be a professional Dota 2 player.
Professional?
Yeah.
You got paid money?
At one point, yeah,
Oh,
but not
that's
much.
fun. Okay, well, I mean, sure. Like,
my
pick
peak
out a
was during a time when Dota wasn't that popular yet. Unfortunately.
Oh, you were early.
Yeah.
How about you, Niraj?
my favorite single player game is Planescape Torment. If anyone has played that, that's like one of the best RPGs of all time. And my favorite multiplayer game is StarCraft 2.
Okay.
oof, StarCraft.
Deep, rich, obviously one of the first to really push esports, StarCraft and StarCraft 2 into the forefront through Korean gaming. How about you, Jason? Let's answer real quick.
Halo. I'm a Halo. I love Halo. I mean, you got. I mean,
Master Chief, John Halo, Spartan 117.
You know?
Yeah. As for me, Melee, Super Smash Brothers Melee. More than 20 years later, the community, the meta is still going. I watch tournaments to this day. We got a lot of people shouting out in chat. A question: Terran, Zerg, or Protoss?
Zerg.
Okay, all right. Quick answer.
Protoss for me.
Yeah. So let's dig in. We're curious what Game 7's up to. It's supporting the industry. You named a lot of stuff, but maybe it'd be nice to zoom in on the open inventory you mentioned there. What are some of the design goals, and how are you thinking about implementing it? So as people think about building something that might take advantage of it, what do they need to know?
Okay. Let me tell you sort of like, why we decided to work together on this inventory system. So far, when you look at how ownership works, or like, soulbound tokens, for example, work in Web3, tokens are associated with Ethereum accounts. So they're essentially associated with players, right? But in Web3 games, it's very natural to use ERC-721 tokens as characters, right? And you need to have like attributes or like items and stuff that are associated with the characters and not the players. This is like a very real need. When game developers talk about soulbound items, for example, they don't really mean things that are associated with the players. They mean things that are associated with the characters. So if you lose the character, the item goes away. If you like, it's not associated with the player. So the way that game developers in Web3 have been sort of dealing with this problem is they're storing they store inventories and stuff off chain. They store it on metadata, right? So like basically you don't really know what a character has equipped or anything like that unless you go and download like the metadata from the token URI for an NFT, and then you look at that object and see what stuff the character has. That really sucks for on-chain games because it's important that more and more mechanics in Web3 games are sort of represented on-chain. There's a lot of really exciting stuff happening with on-chain gaming, and there needs to be a way to sort of access information about what characters have equipped, what their hit point level is, like are they dead or not, that kind of stuff. It's really important to access that on-chain, not just in the metadata. And so that's what the NFT inventory is actually. So basically, it allows game designers to define, these are the inventory slots that this kind of a character can have. These are the things that can go into each of those inventory slots, right? ERC20 tokens or ERC1155 tokens or ERC721 tokens. For example, you could have a mount, right? You could say that okay, this Bored Ape has a Moonbird as a mount. You can define that on the NFT inventory. When you do that, let's say that I as a player come and equip like my Moonbird mount onto my Bored Ape. The ownership of that Moonbird goes to the inventory contract. So no matter what happens, when any on-chain game can actually recognize that, yes, this Bored Ape is actually riding this Moonbird, and whatever these are the statistics or characteristics that it has. So that's the motivation was we need to represent more and more of this stuff on-chain, and there needs to be like this concept of progression and evolution and ownership of NFTs that doesn't depend on like some centralized metadata service that's telling you what the state is. That's and it's ready, by the way. So
And it's ready.
The first version of this is live.
I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because when you began, I thought you were saying, okay, and then we've created a thing so that when a bidler of a game goes and makes their own in-game inventory, they can like shuffle it around RuneScape style. But no, you're saying we're creating a flexible, almost API layer of composability between existing ERC20s, 721s, and 1155s. And now that sandbox is much easier to pick up as a developer and say, well, what are these pieces? What are these communities? And how can I begin to create interesting interactions between them?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah. Composability is a very important thing. It's very important to design for composability when you're building software on that targets the blockchain. A lot, and until now, really, people like you have to write your custom logic. Let's say that you wanted to have some sort of an inventory system for your NFT, you'd actually have to write the code that implemented that inventory system into your ERC 721 contract, right? You'd have to write all of that custom code. The goal of the NFT inventory system is, first of all, that here's a standard. It's been vetted, right? It's been audited. You can just plug into it, and it's flexible enough to represent inventory systems in all the games that we know about, all the games that we care about, right? And then second of all, it also allows you to do this composition where let's say that you want to do a collab with another project and you want characters to be able to interact with each other. The inventory system gives you a way of also implementing the Bored Ape and Moonbird use case.
Yeah. So Moonbird is is the use case. Are there other use cases where people can actually already go and see the NFT project?
Well, we just completed the implementation last week, so there are no games live that are using it. Although the code is freely available on GitHub, so we can drop the link to the GitHub repo at the end of this call. And there's plenty of if people want to come and make improvements or tell us what their use cases are and check if they support them, we would be happy to sort of engage in those discussions. That's very important to us, right? This sort of thing should be built as a community, and it's not being done for profit. It's just being done for the community as well as being done as a public good, right? So we're happy to engage in those conversations. We're going to launch at least one project, I think probably a couple, that uses the NFT inventory system at ETHDenver.
Ooh, ETHDenver. Yeah. That's going to be fun. So I know that you guys might be you guys are involved with the arcade, right?
Yes, we are.
Do you have any little sneak peek into what that might be?
Yeah, so we're building this really fun experience. Given how we're leading the gaming track, we want to build a very unique gaming experience for people. What it'll allow people to do is play test certain games. And they'll be able to actually test it and launch the games with Hyperplay, the game launcher that we're building, because it's so stupid for people to be downloading .exe files, right? It's not good, especially in this space. And for us, we're gonna have these gaming laptops where people will be able to come into our lounge and they'll be able to play test. We might also be able to have some casual tournaments, some leaderboards where people can compete and win some rewards. So I don't want to release too much details, but that's kind of a sneak peek as to what might happen.
Tease.
Yeah. Well, I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to be coming over and hanging out in the gaming space. Although that might be a little problem. Might not get other things done. But cool. So what are you guys most excited about? Leading up to, we're 21 days away. What are the ways that bidlers can start to get ready for ETHDenver? I know that we'll list some of the ways that they can get involved in Game 7, but what are some things that we should be thinking about as we're ideating ideas on things that we need to solve? Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm going to be pretty high level here because we are going to be announcing some detailed bounties on February 20th. So to kind of I don't want to say overshare, but they're to provide some context, there are already a ton of tools and products in the space. But the issue is they're all built with other use cases like DeFi and PFP NFTs in mind, and not necessarily tailored for gaming, right? And I think this is a big problem. I think it'll be addressed over time. So these are I guess some use cases and things we wish existed today. And this comes directly from the Game Developer Report. These are some highlights. Firstly, tools that make the process of smart contract development a lot easier for game developers, because building a game is already as hard as it is. Let's make their lives easier, right? Having to build like an entire Web3 tech stack on top, it's pretty unreasonable. And wallets and onboarding products that make user experience seamless, like auto approving transactions, initiating crypto transactions from many applications like Discord. Products that help developers create their own in-game marketplaces a lot easier. Um, On-chain data management and indexing built for the performance of gaming. And analytics and dashboards that help game developers understand their economies a lot better. And there's like a lot more in the report. I'm just listing like a few.
Okay, somebody clip that, because those were, to the best of my ability to track them, all examples of things you would think we already have: analytics, indexing, right, access to data. But in the specific use case of game design, especially like this performant piece, like it needs to be fast, it needs to be snappy, it needs to be seamless. So we can push the envelope on these pieces of tech that already exist. And this is Web3. There are probably examples of like analytic systems or indexing systems that you could go fork that code and then make some tweaks for this use case. So I wanted to slow down and emphasize that there are still problems to be solved, even though we see a lot of people pushing
we have a lot to build
like the base layer already.
Yep, we have a lot to build for sure.
Yeah, we do.
And then Niraj, did you want to add some stuff to that?
Yeah, I think one of our principles for Web3 gaming is that there should be no NPCs in Web3 games. And for that to really work, like, people have to build bots. I mean, you basically have to embrace bots. Bots aren't a bad word. Bots is not a bad word when it comes to Web3 gaming. But the sort of like difficulty here is that a lot of on-chain games right now, they specifically cater only to programmers, only to like people who can write, like who understand how smart contracts work and stuff like that. I think there needs to be something where like regular people, like this industry, in order to make it big, we need to appeal to like actual gamers, right? Not just like nerds like us, basically, like who write code and do this and do that. We need to make all of these things accessible. So I don't know. I think like one thing that we think is very important is how do you make bots, like automation? Let's call it automation, because bots feels like a bad word in the context of gaming. How do you make automation accessible,
especially in competition?
Yeah.
I think so. Like from a tech perspective, like are you guys involved at all with like esports? Do you guys engage with any like YouTube gamers when you guys are doing some of your like research? Like where do consumers kind of come into play in this part?
Yeah, that's a good question. For now, we're still like so focused on the infrastructure portion, because like we want to get to where we're focusing much more on the players, the consumers, but the industry is like not even ready for that yet. We haven't built the tools that's needed to even build efficient games. And so for us to get to that next stage, we still have a lot to build. That's why we're here at ETHDenver. We're looking for builders.
Well
like
said.
there's a lot of excitement for what's to come, right? I have a lot of excitement for what's coming in this year, next year. I can share some of that, but like it's going to take a while to get to a point where we can actually do things in a much more scalable fashion, where we can be like, oh, we can engage all these esports teams. We can have much more mature games where there's actually a competitive environment. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you both for coming from Game 7 and Moonstream.to. For folks that want to follow up with some of the things that we've mentioned today, I would like to point out that there are a few resources here. We're not going to go down the list. You can watch the VOD if you want any of these links. It's available. But just so you know, the alpha here is to get into their Discord, actually. I'll let you speak to that, Stephen.
For sure. Absolutely. If you go to our homepage, it's like a wait list right now to get into our Discord. But because all of you are part of ETHDenver and you're all bidlers, we'd like to welcome you guys. And kind of like for us, we really want to attract visionaries who believe in the future of gaming, that it holds endless possibilities. So like if you believe this, come join us at Game 7. And to give you like a sense of who we are, we're basically like a melting pot of diverse backgrounds and perspectives, and really just brought together by like a shared passion for accelerating adoption of player-owned gaming economies. And from all corners of the world, our members like bring unique skills, interests, perspectives, which really just fuels our mission to create like a brighter future for gaming. So yeah, join our Discord. Let us know what you're working on. I think there's. Can you provide the Discord link actually?
Yeah, Le Grand Marquis already put it in the
Yeah,
Twitch
Legrand
chat.
Marquis.
Oh,
Thanks
great.
for doing
Thank you
that.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll say it, it's discord.gg/G7DAO, G7DAO.
Yep. And then also, if you're seeking grants for open source technology that game developers can use, we launched our grants program recently, and you can also apply at grants.game7.io. And I think the link is also provided. Oh, it's on the page. Nice. Thank you. And yeah, so stoked to see everyone at ETHDenver, and thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming, guys. This is great. I'm really excited. I think there's a lot of meat in this that will give bidlers the opportunity to start thinking about what are things that, if they're coming to ETHDenver right now, there's over like 3,000 people that have said that they're going to come to Biddle. And I'm sure there's a good amount of those people that are really into gaming, and they could find benefit of being involved in the Game 7 DAO. So
absolutely.
Thanks for coming. We know where to find you. I hope y'all have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Everyone else stick around. We've got a few more things to talk about today. Bada boom, bada bing. Jason and I are going to return to the agenda because, as we mentioned at the top, now that we're done talking about NFT, gaming, and the metaverse, which is one of the 5 tracks at this year's ETHDenver, we are now going to talk about the second track a little more briefly, which is infrastructure and scalability. Before we do, there was a question in chat. I just want to honor it. The question was, are y'all going to talk about DeFi? And the answer is yes. We're going to dig into it in more detail on a later episode of Raise Your Sporks in the coming weeks. But for now, we didn't want to bite off more than we can chew. We're digging into 2 tracks this week, and the second one is infrastructure and scalability. Yeah. Jason, when are we going to really dig into that?
So we are scheduled for Monday at 8:30 a.m.
8:30 what? 8:30 what?
Oh, shoot.
Mountain?
It might actually be Eastern, which would be 7:30 my time and 5:30 yours. So, but we'll have fun. I'm looking
Damn European devs.
Hey, this is great.
30 Eastern.
Hey, I will actually have to reconfirm.
Yeah. Okay, it'll be on the community calendar.
I'm 99% sure it's Eastern Standard Time because I had a conversation with the team today. But no, we're gonna get in talking about infrastructure scalability. We're gonna talk a bit about Circle, which is kind of getting into more of the financial space and the infrastructure for finance and what that looks like. So. Really interesting conversation that we had earlier this week talking about what we would talk about on it. But that's planned right now for Monday at 8:30. It'll be very similar to what's going on today. And then for those of you that don't want to join at 8:30 in the morning to work out for the Europeans, then you can catch it on a VOD, and it will be recorded and you'll be able to enjoy it. But I think the overall fun thing about doing this is like we get an inside look at what our sponsors see as happening in the space as the experts. And then they have the ability to kind of pull back the curtain and show what are the opportunities for bidlers. I don't know. There was a lot of different things that I took away from the conversation that we just had.
I want to emphasize that there are roughly 2 categories of projects that people submit at ETHDenver. Projects that from inception are trying to solve a real problem for real people as best as they can. In other words, useful things. We love those. This is how we create the infrastructure, whether it's for gaming developers or for financial infrastructure, whatever it is. We're trying to create the tools for the next set of bidlers that come along to make their life easier. But there's another category of things, which is things that are just fun And those are fine too. Here at ETHDenver, we love useful things that solve real problems for real people. And we also welcome fun ideas, interesting ideas, things that are just like, wouldn't this be cool? And so in the context of infrastructure and scalability, it's far more so that first category. These are hard problems that we love talented minds coming together to try to solve for real people. And specifically, the problems that Biddlers face as we try to create things. It's hard to develop on any aspect of the blockchain. And so.
Yeah. So I think like in that, when we're thinking about Biddling and we're 21 days away, one of the largest things that I hear or see or I get emails about is how do I form a team, or what type of project should I work on? So one of the things that we're looking at doing leading up to ETHDenver is we're really trying to focus on creating places to develop and form teams. So last week we talked a little bit about team formation. We talked about the different things that we have access to as Biddlers. You can go to the Discord channel, and there's a whole section on there that's just about team formation.
Of course.
So that's a big thing. The other thing is that we're talking about meetups right now. So the BiddleX team, which is basically the mentor group of ETHDenver, we're looking at doing meetups. So it's like if we're thinking about ETHDenver for 2023, for meetups, if we were talking about gaming, like that would be, let's do a meetup around video games. So if you're really into video games, like show up. So we're going to probably do some of these. So like you could show up at Biddle Week and we'll just have like a meetup space.
Sorry, bro. I'm
Whoa.
My bad. I meant to do this.
Yeah.
Good enough.
So it's like, so if you're interested in video games, maybe we'll do a meetup, and then, Game 7 would show up, and maybe Polygon shows up. Maybe some of the other people that are in the gaming space will show up. But the idea here is let's find people that are all interested in something, and let's see if we can actually get together and solve those problems. So, you might be a UI UX designer. You might be a front end. You might be a back end. You might be a project manager or developer. You might be in legislation or whatever. The whole goal here is we want to have meetups. So if there's something that interests you and you're like, man, I think there's a lot of me, but I would like to find other people like me, like feel free to go into like our Discord channel and make recommendations, or even tweet right now or comment right now. Like these are the types of meetups that you'd like to see. And our BiddleX team will work to create spaces during Biddle Week and to create spaces in the Blockchain 101 area, and also creating spaces during the core event. So, there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of space that is going to be set up to create teams. It's just a matter of creating touch points. So
this is one of several aspects of hackathons, and ETHDenver's a Biddle-a-thon, which is I don't want to call it broken, but like not solved yet. If you participate in these kinds of events, you'll know that everyone does it their own way, and sometimes it feels kind of half-assed. So one of the areas we're really trying to pay a lot of attention to detail is the UX of somebody for whom ETHDenver might be their first Web3 event, their first Biddle-a-thon of any kind. They might not be an expert Solidity developer, and they're wondering whether or not they belong, whether or not they have a chance of finding a team. If you don't know anyone who's going to be there, it's almost like first day of college vibes. So we are doing all the things Jason just mentioned because that's an extremely common experience. People showing up, it's their first event, and they're nervous, frankly. So if you or anyone you know is attending and has a sort of like, I'm really curious about this stuff, I want to learn more, but I don't want to draw too much attention to myself because I don't want to look like a fool. Everyone's a fool at ETHDenver. We all wear pajamas and buffacorn outfits and get sweaty on stage. It's okay to be a fool. It's okay to be new. We're all new and we're all learning from each other. But what I hope is that you take our invitation to dive in, show up to a team formation session, join that channel in the Discord, and just read. You don't even have to post yet. Just start lurking, because I hope that if you're on the fence about biddling something yourself, you'll see that what Jason and I keep saying is true. We need people with all kinds of skill sets from all kinds of backgrounds to contribute to making all kinds of projects. So even if you're not some extra quant background of like high frequency trading that's going to make the fancy new derivative DeFi protocol, that's a very small percent of what happens at ETHDenver. It's like way less than 5%. Mostly it's just people coming together and being like, what would be cool if like when you click on the connect wallet button, like confetti comes out. How do we do that? Like, that's fun, and people just work on that for 3 days. So,
but you have 9 days. So realistic, like ETHDenver is a little different. We're not like other hackathons. We're Biddle-a-thon. We have February 20th is the actual day where we actually announce what the bounties are. So we actually tell you the bounties before you can actually start biddling on them. So that way you can read through them. Why? Because there's like 200 plus bounties available to biddlers, and it's going to be pretty insane. There is over $2 million in bounties available at this point in time from the latest numbers that I've seen. We have over 3,000 plus biddlers saying that they're coming to Biddle, which is like could potentially be the largest of any hackathon or Biddle-a-thon in the Web3 space. So there's a lot of opportunity for biddlers, and there's a lot of problems to solve. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So
now let's shift gears. That was a little bit about if you're looking for a team, if you're not sure what you want to biddle yet, you want to hear other people's ideas or maybe share your own. But some of y'all are already beginning to coalesce, and you've got some cool ideas you're excited about that you're starting to brainstorm. And that is where we're excited to tell you more about Bufficorn Ventures and how during ETHDenver 2023, we're going to be having a Buffy tank on site. This is, of course, a parody of Shark Tank, where you can get up in front of some of our Bufficorn Ventures investors, our LPs, not to be confused with liquidity providers. This would be like limited partners in the context of venture stuff, and shill your project. So, Jason, could you say a little bit about the Buffy tank, its intention, its structure?
So Buffy tank is basically if you already are in an existing project, you already have something, you have your pitch deck put together, you're looking for pre-seed or seed initial investment, you're interested in being a part of the Spork DAO ETHDenver ecosystem. So, a lot of the projects that we're utilizing in the blockchain space this year are Bufficorn Venture like portfolio companies. So like the We Look ticket, that's a portfolio company for Bufficorn Ventures. If you're engaged on Discord, we got Tavern Keeper. There's a handful of other ones that I don't know that I can talk about yet because we haven't necessarily announced what they're doing at ETHDenver, but all soon to come. But yeah, so if you have an existing project, like come pitch it. Maybe you'll get funded. There's alpha that I know of that I recently learned about, and it is pretty amazing. It will be really exciting when people get to hear about it, but you 100%, like if you're on the fence of like, maybe I should go participate and be a Bufficorn Ventures member or not. There's something that will happen that has never happened in the grand scheme of this alpha that I can't talk about because I'm not Russell. I'm not gonna.
You would get in trouble.
I would get in trouble.
You get in trouble.
I'm already in trouble enough. I don't need to get in any more trouble. So,
amen. I would like to contextualize this for folks that have not had a successful exit of a startup before, which is most of us. What we spend most of our time doing here at ETHDenver is convincing biddlers or people transitioning into identifying as a biddler to hone your skills, find a community of like-minded folks, and biddle some cool stuff. In other words, the beginning of the process. But what we don't often talk about, we sometimes do, is that as you hit a certain point, in the context of ETHDenver, that point would be maybe being a finalist and presenting on stage. Or even if you're not a finalist, winning a few bounties, being proud of yourselves. And even if you win no money at all, just creating a thing and sharing it in front of people. A bunch of stuff often happens right after that we don't usually talk about. Because when we say fall down the rabbit hole, what really is connoted is that there's no floor. Once you start falling, and gravity speeds you up more and more and more. And specifically what I'm getting at is that if you make something at ETHDenver 2023, I don't want to make any promises, but I want to make it very clear, a very common experience, even of teams that did not know each other before the event and just biddled something over like the course of 3 days, 10 days, is they start getting DMs from VCs. They start getting DMs from the bounties they applied to that are like, did you know we have an accelerator program? We have this incubator program. Would you like some mentorship? They start getting people asking when they're going to launch their token. There's a bunch of next steps to transition from idea to we're actually trying to get this thing off the ground for that first 6, 12, 24 months, whatever, depends on the project. In other words, the baby stage. Mm-hmm. We launched Bufficorn Ventures so that we could be an option in that transition for projects looking to receive support from the community, both financial and emotional and tactical, as you try to figure out what order should I put the things on my roadmap? What do users actually want? How do I get in touch with them? How do I do go-to-community strategy? Do you have any tokenomics people I can talk to? None of us are tokenomics experts, and you can't really go back once the cat's out of the bag. So for all those reasons, we thought, well, you know, it'd be cool. SporkDAO is already a co-op that owns ETHDenver, and the members of SporkDAO are the people that come to ETHDenver and choose to join. It's free. And so we as a community own ETHDenver. We also as a community own Bufficorn Ventures. And so on our side internally, we're doing the Buffy Tank. We're handing out $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 checks to these teams and welcoming them into the portfolio. But we as the community are not only ethically and spiritually, but also financially incentivized to help these projects succeed. Because when, hopefully, they succeed, that's value that's going to get it's going to flow right back to the community. I mean, by analogy, like an airdrop. You could think of it like that, but that's not exactly the mechanism.
All I know is I wish Bufficorn Ventures existed at the start, because like if you take one of our presenting sponsors, 1inch started at ETHDenver. Like, so
at one point last year, 1inch was worth $500 million. So if we'd had 1% of that, that would have been $5 million that would have flown back to the community. So that's interesting. Yeah, that pain, right, of sort of missing that opportunity was like good enough for us to be like, we should have a venture arm.
Look at POAP.xyz.
POAP. Look at Moloch DAOs such as Raid Guild. Like all kinds of really good projects come out of ETHDenver and then become staples in the space for years.
Yeah, and speaking of like BIDL alumni, like if you are watching this and you participated in years past and you actually now have a company or your project is still moving, if you go to ETHDenver.com and you click on like the BIDL, there is an option called BIDL alumni, and we're actually trying to like start tracking like who are all the projects, what is actually coming out of ETHDenver, what type of like, we know that we have impact, but the question is like, let's actually start demonstrating what the impact is. So if you haven't done that, like do that, and then we'll add you eventually to the website when it's not event season and we're not planning for the next ETHDenver.
When we catch our breath.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a bit about Buffy Tank and the good fortune you might have coming on the other side of ETHDenver, whether or not it's with Bufficorn Ventures. We're here to support you as you BIDL whatever you're working on as a community. Should we touch on mentoring as another form of support that we offer at ETHDenver?
Yeah, let's do it.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, so I talked about this a little bit earlier. So mentoring is a huge part to ETHDenver. If you go to sporkdao.
Or
Discord.
discord.gg/sporkdao.
Yeah, that one. So many links. Yeah. We have a whole mentor section. So for ETHDenver specifically, when we get into the BIDL-a-thon, we will have mentors available 24/7. We're going to really work hard to make sure that if you are BIDLing and you have a question, that someone is there and is accessible. We have things like BIDL Hub. So Biddle Week starts on February 24th in the Rhino district of Denver. Biddle Hub will be kind of like the main center location for everything ETHDenver. That will be operating from about 9 a.m. to about 11:30 p.m. There's a whole co-working space in there. There's workshops that will be happening in there from sponsors. There's a whole co-working area. There's a mentor lounge. There's other lounges where you can meet up and engage with other people. So that's one place that you can find mentoring. Then there's the National Sport Castle. So when we actually get into the core event, which is March 2nd to March 5th. So that's the really big building. That will have an education wing. It has a co-working space. It's got all this really cool arts and the maker space. It's got the main stage. And then it has an entire biddle floor. It also has a Biddler Palace, which is actually where they do cattle auctions. So it's actually a pretty cool spot. But that's going to also be available to you. We have like, I want to say like the number that I heard Casey say in our call this last week was 375 mentors are going to be available to people, which is insane.
We were pretty selective too. Like, it was a high bar. We really appreciated all the interest in supporting, but a lot of people were not accepted as mentors because we want to make sure that when biddlers reach out to the mentors for support, that they're getting like world-class level support from people that are experts in whatever their subject matter is.
And then there are some people that unfortunately can't make it to ETHDenver, but they've been part of ETHDenver for a long time, and these are some of the best developers that are also going to be available in the Discord. So that's why Discord is a great place for virtual support, and that's actually available to you year-round. Then the other fun thing is we got all the sponsors. So we just had Game 7 on here, and I'm sure you can go to their booth and ask them questions. A lot of sponsors will have their team even engaging in the mentor area on the biddle floor. So that will be accessible to you. And then I think the really fun one is this Biddler Palace. So Biddler Palace is all about workshops for biddlers. So we have different type of workshops available to you that are either like skills based or labs. So maybe you're working on your project and you're like, I want to go engage with that's too alpha. I can't say his name.
Yeah.
But you could ask him questions and you could literally go, hey, I'm working on my project and this is where I'm stuck. How would you solve it? And it's basically just going to be a room with other developers and other people working on it, and you can ask it. Or like we were talking about project managers earlier. So you have you'll be able to, we have some people that are really good at pitching at like Y Combinator, tech startups, Disrupt, some of the other really big accelerator programs that are also either judges or mentors. And you'll be able to like go and learn how to pitch, because you're going to have to really be good at pitching your project to the judges in order to get to the stage. So there's the two parts. And if you really want to understand more about the judging, you can either go to the website. We have the whole prep guide, or you can also watch previous episodes of Razor Sporks where we actually go into it a little more. But all that to say, like, there's a lot of resources there. We want you guys to be successful. We're trying to go above and beyond in creating spaces so that this is actually the best place to come biddle, best place to get seen. I mean, I think we did a survey last year where a lot of people that came looking for a job left with a job or ended up getting a job within 60 days of coming to ETHDenver. So, I think one of the cool things, kind of thinking about what Steven was talking about, is as a biddler, you could come biddle on something that you're actually passionate about, going, man, I wish I could get funding, make it to the stage. You then get in front of all the biggest VCs that are going to also be there. You also are getting presented in front of like some of the biggest tech founders within the Web3 space that are looking for developers and projects to fund. You're also in front of Buffacorn Ventures. you're in front of all sorts of other people that are like, oh, that's actually really cool. I wish I could be a part of that project. And now they're going to reach out to you. So it's like, this is like it's almost like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory as a bidler. Like everything that you could possibly want is there for you.
That's true. That's true.
You just
and
have
if you got nervous hearing Jason say what kinds of opportunities are there, again, that's fine and normal, and you don't need to not be nervous, but we do have support if you want to practice your pitch and really fine tune it before you get up on stage. Every step from I don't even know how to do this, come to our live streams where we learn every week. Come to Camp Biddle on site. It's a boot camp. We're going to dial in your skills. Show up. Find a team of people you don't even know yet. Work on a project you haven't even heard of yet. Get on stage. Be a finalist. Get your funding. Be a startup founder. Every step of the journey, we want to see you succeed. Truly. We have no reason to want you to fail. We are here to help you succeed. So whatever you want, we're here for it, including lunch and snacks. Because one of the things you'll want along the way is to feed yourself, which is why y'all need to download my Ether wallet. I think some of you are thinking, what? Another wallet? No way. No way. I'm vendor locked. I am not going to switch over. I'm not putting my private key or my seed phrase in another thing. You are not going to get me to switch. Can I get you to switch for a burrito?
Or a pizza? Or a breakfast burrito?
Because my Ether wallet is one part of the tech stack for free food at ETHDenver 2023. And we are really grateful to them being our official wallet sponsor this year, because let me tell you, it's worth taking a look at. Like, just go watch a YouTube video or something. I'm not saying, just check it out, because in addition to having a booth on site, like all sponsors do, they are also graciously supporting the Blockchain 101 area, where a lot of folks who are brand new to the space are going to walk straight to Blockchain 101 because everything else is overwhelming. People are talking about ZK Sync, ZK Snarks and Starks, and the pros and cons. It's like, well, I don't know what any of that is. What's a wallet? What's a blockchain? You scoot up to the third floor, there will be signs, and you go to Blockchain 101, and the first out of 3 tables will be creating your first wallet. And the My Ether Wallet team is going to have a couple, hopefully, I'm completely sure this will be the case, friendly, nice, patient people there to help walk you through any questions you have as you make your first Web3 wallet.
Oh yeah, no, they're super nice.
Oh, they're also we got a few Mew folks here in the chat. Thank you, Mew, for supporting. We're also going to have Mew Wallet, I'll speak slower, is going to have maps, live streams, and some super secret rewards in the app. So that's cool. I mean, what other wallet apps are going to be doing those things during ETHDenver? Haven't heard of one. Question from Beam Me Up Now. Can we use a fresh wallet different than the one we used in our application to ETHDenver? This is Web3. You can have as many wallets as you want. I do not expect that your food truck Biddler bucks are in the same account that you hold all of your ETH or your NFTs or whatever it is. Of course you can have multiple wallets. You can have whatever your current wallet is and Mew. You don't need to leave your current wallet. Just make a Mew wallet. Try it out. Make a free make a new account, spin it up. You don't even need to import. Just try it out. You lose nothing. Yeah. I personally need to migrate a password manager, for example. It's an annoying process, and it's very similar to migrating wallets. There's a lot of security here. I don't want to do it wrong. I'm thinking about exporting and importing highly sensitive information. So I understand any reluctance folks have to try out a new wallet, but it's very low risk to try it out.
Eat. And if you want to eat, like if you haven't been to ETHDenver, we have food trucks, we got coffee bars, we got the bodega, we got concession stands this year. There's even merch that you can now buy. Everything is going to function on the Mew wallet as it relates to ETHDenver 2023. And as they've been saying, there's some really cool games and opportunities in there. And as a biddler, I can tell you that by biddling and showing that your project is continually like progressing, some of those super secret rewards might open up some super secret opportunities where if you're not biddling and achieving those milestones, you may miss out on some super secret content in Biddler Palace.
I don't even know about this. I'm going to ask you about this after the call. Now, we should admit are small flaws so we can give people confidence there are no big ones. Mu Wallet does suffer from a pretty glaring problem, which is RAS syndrome, or redundant acronym syndrome, because Mu Wallet stands for My Ether Wallet, just like ATM machine is automatic teller machine, and PIN number is personal identification number. So Mu Wallet's branding, it is what it is, but as a UX, it's slick. So I encourage y'all to go download it and try it out today.
So that is there for you. There's all that. I think the only last thing that we, I know that we're at the top of the hour, but really the last thing, if you are a bidler and you are wondering, how do I prepare for it? We've created this pretty extensive Bidathon preparation guide. It's a combination of talking about how does the Bidathon actually work? How does judging work? How does bounties work? It provides some resources for you as a bidler of like, how do I get into the space? I know that there's some 101 stuff that's coming out. We have different things that Derek does during the week where he's talking about biddling. I think my favorite thing, like if you're like brand new and you're like, I really want to learn how to biddle, or like, give me some place to start. I think my favorite thing that I've seen thus far is that the Patrick Collins, like 32-hour YouTube. That thing's like gold.
Every Tuesday here on Twitch, we're working through it. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
So that's available to you. It is pretty extensive. I've heard comments about that.
That it's too extensive or what?
It's too extensive.
Well, if you want to learn smart contract development, it takes more than an hour. We did front ends. We learned how to like make front ends talk to smart contracts.
Right. And no, I was just thinking about Mu Wallet was that Mu was the first ETH wallet.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out, Stake Ether Die. In 2015, the literal first ETH wallet.
And they're still kicking.
And that's why they've had to sort of rebrand a Mu Wallet, because now there's more than just the Ethereum blockchain they can interact with. We have a good problem, which is a multi-chain future we're already living in.
So why don't I know that
take a couple questions?
A lot of different things. There's quite a few questions that I'm seeing between Discord, Twitter, other things.
Okay. But, here's a couple things that I wanted to shout out. Some comments I was saving along the way. ETHDenver for president. This is when we were getting really hyped during the Buffcorn Ventures part, and we were like, whatever you want to biddle, you come. We're gonna support you every step of the way. He's like, yeah, we're sick. Like, I'm gonna toot my own horn. We're sick. It's free to attend. Always will be. We give you free food, world-class mentors, get you on stage, get you some funding. Like, what's not to like? The bathroom's clogging. Another person's too soon. Thank you, Quantum Alpha House, for saying love how SporkDAO is a virtuous cycle that feeds into itself. It's true. We're trying to create some positive sum games here. And then this will get cut off just because of how this works, but I can read it out loud. I'm new to Web3. I've never been to a Web3 conference or ETHDenver, but I'm currently working on a Web3 project leading brand marketing and content. What's the most relevant ETHDenver track? Maybe if you could bring us back to slide 5 there, and I can bring it back up, Jason. What's the most relevant ETHDenver track of talks, events, sponsors, etc., for me to attend or meet other folks in the context of Web3 brand marketing and content? So, if you're looking to find folks that are curious about what you're working on and might need some branding advice, which of these 5 tracks do you think would be the best fit? Janet Benienzo? All of them.
It really
Do you think any one of these doesn't need help with branding? I assure you, none of them has figured out branding yet. None of them has figured out design or marketing yet. All of these are great examples of the Web3 has a branding problem, Web3 has a design problem meme. We need support up and down the list.
And like if you're bringing your team, I don't know if you're working on your own project and kind of like creating like a new part of your project, which you can do as a bidler, or maybe you just want to meet new people. People are going to need your skill set to participate in the Bidathon. So, Derek is a great example of that.
What do you mean?
Being like a great communicator, or it's kind of like that ancillary person that you need someone that's really good at pitching, or you need someone that may not be a developer, may not be a UI UX designer. You do.
I do talk good.
So
yeah, I agree with CK Bubbles. We need more creatives and account people in the space. I agree with Laura. Web3 does not have enough creatives. And if you're hearing what we're saying and you do not currently identify as a designer or a creator or an illustrator or an artist or anything like that, but you're curious, then I'll close us out by reminding folks of one other opportunity we have at ETHDenver 2023. And that's Camp Biddle, powered by Chainlink. This is our first year trying out throwing a boot camp for noobs during ETHDenver on site, which is ambitious to say the least. Like ETHDenver, Camp Biddle is free to attend. So if you might be available from February 24th, which is when it starts, if you can commit to showing up at the beginning of ETHDenver and attending this Camp Biddle, it's going to be half days, basically. Those first 6 days of ETHDenver, you show up, you get your 4 hours, your 4 hours, your 4 hours, your 4 hours. World-class instructors. We currently have our heads down and are planning 4 different tracks. Think of them like Harry Potter houses. If you want to learn more about smart contracts, Web3 front ends, community and marketing, that's not technical. Design, that's not technical. And it's what made me think to explain this. We need you. We literally do not have the number of people that we want in the program yet. You specifically, the people listening to my voice right now, please consider applying at ethdenver.com/Camp Biddle, or telling a friend of yours who might already be coming to ETHDenver to move their flight and hotel up a couple days, because this is a life-changing opportunity that we're going to try out as a crazy experiment. I would love to see folks apply to this program, especially, listen close, to the design track. I would love for you or anyone you know who might be a good fit to apply to the design track before Tuesday. Are you reading between the lines, friends?
Are you saying that there's openings in
I am
the
saying
design track?
I am not desperate, but hungry for some more talented folks to say, I don't know thing one about design or Figma, but I wish I did, because the prerequisite for the design track is nothing. You don't need to know anything. That's how we're building the curriculum, is we're assuming you're a noob who doesn't know design, and we're going to teach you. So that at ETHDenver, 6 days later, you can roll up to the main event, to the team formation Jason mentioned a moment ago, and say, hey, I'm a designer, a new one, I'll admit it, and I'm looking for a team. That's the goal, to take you from zero to hero in 6 days. So please, please, please let anyone you know who might be a good fit for this program, specifically somebody who can be there starting February 24th. Let them know about this. ethdenver.com/Camp Biddle. All one word, no hashtag. So that's my little rant.
It's a good rant.
Yeah,
Good,
I'm project
excited.
managing the whole thing. I'm super proud of it. It's like actually going to happen. It's sick.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I'm just trying to look while closing out here, just seeing if there were any other like little questions here or there. By the way, I think actually, because we have people here,
Yeah.
If you have applied to ETHDenver and you have received an accepted email, that it means that you've been accepted, and you have to claim your ticket.
Claim your tickets.
There's over 6,000 of you that have not claimed your ticket. You've been accepted.
Claim your tickets.
All you need to do is claim your ticket.
Just click the
and then
button
you
in the
can
email.
get in. It will take you to WeLook. You can then claim your ticket, and then you can for sure get in. Nope. What were you gonna say?
I was some of the people listening are like, I didn't get the email yet. Where's my email? Which is a reasonable thing to think, because it can take up to 14 business days between when you apply and when you get your ticket. So I'll say 2 things about that. One, it only takes 14 business days if you don't have a Buffcorn. Shame on you for not having a Buffcorn in your wallet. And
If you had a buffer corn, it would only take you 5.
Well, what do you know? We prioritize our community. 2, we're not really probably going to turn you away. Like, the reason I'm saying it this candidly is we're close to the event, and some folks are like, well, if I apply now and I'm not going to know for 3 weeks whether I get in, I'm not feeling confident enough to book a flight, to book a hotel.
Book a flight.
So you'll be fine.
Book a flight.
Book your flight now. And there's also a lot of side events. Like, worst case scenario, somehow you don't get an ETHDenver ticket. You can still do cool stuff every day and every night. That's how it goes. We're decentralized.
But you have 14 days. You have 14 days once you get your acceptance. Otherwise, you get put on like soft waitlist. And if you've already been accepted and you don't claim it by the 10th of February at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time.
That's a week from now.
You might be put on a actual like permanent wait list, which then means people that are on the wait list trying to get in might get your ticket.
And you think you're going to blame us for a bad UX. You're going to show up on site. Why do I have to wait? I already got accepted. Do you know who I am? No. A lot of people came this year. We tried to make it a smooth flow so that people could show up. We're at capacity. We got the security we need, the food and beverage we need. It's hard to run a free event. It's hard to run a free event when you don't know who's going to show up or how many of them there will be. So do us a favor and claim your dang tickets. A last question from Jana Bonanza. I just wanted to elevate their questions because they're a great example of somebody that's new, loving what they're hearing, and starting to get a little overwhelmed. That's their words, not mine, which is a very reasonable thing to be feeling because we're bombarding you with a lot. You got a SaaS idea. You don't know how to get started. You're not a coder. Is there a BIDL event that's best to start with?
Yeah.
I'll start us off, team formation in the Discord. Between now and the event, you can already get started talking to folks. Share your idea, see if people like it. What were you thinking, Jason?
So one of the things that we did a lot of was talking to biddlers of like what stops you from actually biddling. And the team formation was the biggest part.
For sure.
So one of the things that we are doing outside of all the other things that I've talked about is that there's actually going to be an opportunity in the evening, like probably like Thursday evening and maybe Friday evening, where if you're that visionary type, you're like, man, I really wish I could have some developers or a UX, UI designer to solve this problem because I'm the domain expert in this space and this thing needs to be solved. We're going to create a space for you in the Biddler Palace to get on and go, hi, my name's Jason. I'm very interested in esports and gaming. I know that this problem needs to be solved. I'm looking for a UI UX designer, a front end and a back end developer to solve this problem. This is what it will do. You're basically pitching yourself to developers and UI people to solve your problem. And if someone's interested, they might come up to you and go, let's build it. And then you might find yourself talking to people like Steven at Game 7 and going, hey, I have this project. It's going to solve wallet onboarding or crypto transactions or in-game marketplace or an analytic dashboard. Give me money so I can keep fiddling and I can quit my job.
Yeah, give me money. Give me a dev. Give me anything. It's a good idea. Yeah.
It's there for you. So
we're here to help connect the pieces.
Biddle.
With that, let us send everyone off with our anthem. Did you cue it back to the beginning?
Oh, it should be.
Okay. There we go.
It's been fun, guys.
It's been super fun. Sing along if you know it.
You might have to move us because we're
No, what? You want me on the side?
In the VIP room, selfies all over the place. Tried to go get a haircut, rocked out in the maker space. Everywhere the buffer corn goes, they're loved. It's the spirit of the community.
That's you, the community.
And the magic of the unicorn, strength of the buffalo. Listen to the call of the buffer corn
in Colorado. Say it.
And the magic is inside of you. There since you were
born.
We biddle all together. Listen to some talks. Chilled out hard in the chill zone. Did yoga like a boss. Got food from the food trucks.
Using my Mew wallet.
Interrupted a panel. It's the Buffer show. And everywhere the Buffercorn goes, they play.
It kills him.
Their magic is around us every day. That's the magic of the unicorn. Straight to the buffalo. Listen to the call of the Buffercorn in Colorado.
Middle.
And the magic is inside of you there since you were born. We biddle all together. Be the Buffercorn. You got to biddle.
Biddle. We need to do a karaoke of this song at ETHDenver.
Yes, we need Jonathan Mann. Shout outs to Jonathan Mann, Song of Day Dao, who created that song, to get up and lead us in a group rendition of it.
Or we
Thank
just
you,
have
everyone.
Karaoke and have people compete for who can do the best karaoke of the Ballad of the Buffercorn.
Over and over and over?
Oh yeah. Let's see who can actually do like the best version of it.
Yeah.
I want to
up on
see
the
like
third
a rap
floor, we're
version.
just gonna have the song on repeat, and people can grab
Yeah.
the mic and show us what you got.
It's like karaoke version, like record
Yeah, then we'll
it.
do quadratic voting with the
All
Bidler
day.
Bucks to determine who we like the most.
Yeah, I'll give someone some extra Bidler bucks for doing the best rendition.
Yeah, you heard it here, folks. Go chase down Jason if you want more Bidler Bucks.
No, please, no.
You said it. Clip it. Not true. Thank you, everyone, for coming, especially Game 7 team and the Mew Wallet team for your support. And to all the community members out here, really appreciate you. We got people for whom it's their 6th ETHDenver. We got people for whom it's their first Web3 event of any kind. And to all of you, I say I'm really looking forward to seeing you in February. Whenever you get there, if you see either Jason or us, come say hi. It's only 3 weeks from now. And if you have any questions, you know where to find us on Twitter, on Discord. We're here to help. In the meantime, we're going to try our new goodbye phrase. This was one you suggested. So everyone send us off with a biddle biddle bye.
Biddle biddle bye.
Okay, bye everyone.
Biddle biddle bye.
Yeah, biddle biddle bye.
It's very Western.
It is very Western, and as we go into the National Western Sport Castle and have like the Bidler Palace,
Auction house.
Oh, that's what I forgot. I want to auction off Buffercorns on that same stage, like because they have the 2 metal doors where like the cattle come in and out, and so instead we'll like have the doors slide and then like a printout of one of the Buffercorns and be like, and up next we got this one, Buffercorn 2104. We got it's got a space astronaut helmet. Am I seeing one ETH? We can do that kind of thing.
We could totally get an auctioneer to come by too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
all right.
well.
Until
Biddle
next
biddle
time.
bye.